Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast and game 4 in a best of 7 series. This was from MLG Columbus that happened over the weekend. All of you guys said that I had to cast these games. You guys wanted my perspective, my information, my insight onto them, and also it would be a little bit easier to find the games on my channel as well. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this. IMLosira spawning as the blue Zerg here at the 3 o'clock location. Meanwhile, MMA, the Terran player, have spawning as the red Terran player here at the 9 o'clock position. MMA currently holding a 2-1 lead in this best of 7 series. MMA most likely, gonna build a supply depot over here. We'll most likely follow it with a Rax, and we'll see how this game unravels. MMA has been playing a pretty interesting strategy as of late. He's done something that I haven't seen a lot of Terran players do, but may become more popular as time goes on. One of the things that he's doing is that he's actually going for 3 command centers very early on in the game, or more specifically 3 orbital commands in the game. So he was able to call down mules rather quickly. Anyways, MMA as the red Terran player, I'm sorry, Pokaisik, I am not going to 3v3 with you right now as I am casting a game. Now, Lucira most likely will be setting up a hatchery in just a moment. He did fly over with this Overlord and is now going to be positioning himself over here. There is a barracks now down as well. So pretty much a standard build here. We'll see whether or not he goes for a refinery. It does not look like he's going for a refinery. So the next key question will be, is he going to go for a double Rax or perhaps a very fast expansion? Lucira already getting a hatchery down over here as well, so it is going to be a fast expansion attempt, most likely, and followed up with extractor pool. If I do remember, I am not cast, or it's been 24 hours since I cast the last set of games. So yes, extractor pool. So it is going to be a speedling expand, or expand speedling if you want to get technical with me. SCV now making its way over here, and now going to start finishing off this wall in. No more mistakes like game 1 on Tal'Darim Altar. Tal'Darim Altar was a very, very painful match to watch if you are a Terran player, as you just knew a front door that was not completely sealed was just going to be so damaging. SCV coming down over here does in fact see that there is a hatchery being built, now going to make its way up as well. Sees that there is already gas and being mined away. MMA needs to look for that gas first, and he will see it, as we are now getting up another Marine to be trained. Lucira going to lose that one drone down over here, but I still like the way MMA plays. You can take a look. The drone came up the ramp and didn't see a thing. That command center being built right there, and now MMA also double gassing as well. So he's going to have a very, very strong tech ability in just a moment. Meanwhile, queens are being trained, drones are being transferred. MMA not going to be able to really put that much pressure on, as Lucira going to be able to just macro up pretty easily. Now, the story in the matchup so far has been MMA's just crazy use of dropships. Dropships in games 2 and 3, multiple drops in multiple places at the same time, causing a very, very large headache. And I normally thought that Zerg were pretty immune to drops, especially with those speedlings and hatcheries being able to train up units. Anytime you have a unit that can move at the speed of 6, being able to just run up and down those ramps and get to where they need to go rather quickly, normally are able to intercept drops. Also, overlords are positioned all across the map to try to spot those drops. You can see Lucira already trying to do that. Overlords in the right locations in multiple places. Now just going to set up another overlord here and then continue to make its way out. And we do see one SCV down over here as well. Not quite sure why MMA is holding this SCV there, but he will spot this overlord. And we are now going into double factory play. So it is going to be double factory, orbital command already coming online, double training SCVs, harvester count 23 to 26, as no one has really committed to making a large army as of yet. Production-wise, we should be seeing a lot more drones coming in just a moment, as Zerglings now trying to take down this set of destructible rocks. Perhaps the Queen could even join in on the fight, but the Queen has a much harder time trying to take down these rocks than the Zerglings do, in fact, as they do have a double attack. Lucira now making his way out. He does see that there is perhaps a double factory now coming online, and perhaps that will mean blue flame Hellions in just a moment. Is it going to be Hellions or tanks? It looks like it is going to be Hellions, and as those are going to be trained up, that's going to be a rather large problem for Lucira to deal with. He does not have a Roach Warren just quite yet, It will take a little bit more time, but he should be able to macro up that rather quickly. That Roach Warren being positioned right there, making it very difficult for any units to simply just walk up that ramp. Overlord still hiding off over here, does see the double factories and the Blue Flame Hellions now being trained up, supply depot being built in the backside as well, as MMA has not gone for his typical additional command center as of yet, instead just running off of 2 bases and 2 mules. Roach Warren about to be completed. We'll see what the Roach production will be coming in. We are also getting a Baneling's Nest as well, as Lucira being very, very careful to not fall behind in the expansion count. We can see a hatchery already being placed down here. Lucira, with overlords and so much map control, should be able to see when these Hellions are going to be moving out rather easily. The Marines are now making a move out, trying to clear off any Zerglings, and before the Hellions do try to finally push out. I like this play by MMA by making sure to clear out the Zerglings, and then use these Hellions much more effectively, as those Hellions are going to be a much larger surprise. The Hellions, however, revealing themselves to another swarm of Zerglings, as the Zerglings are now being able to just run past Marines now coming in, trying to shut down a Queen. That Queen is in a little bit of problems already. There are Roaches, however, so Lucira should be able to counterattack this. He does also have a couple Banelings as well. The Roach is going to try to come in and try to engage, and that is going to be a very, very sad day, as Marines just getting melted apart. One Baneling and being forced to pull back there, and Lucira able to easily tame that Marine Hellion army, and the Hellions are now in full retreat. We are going to see a transition now, and also seeing an armory being placed down. Normally, I would say he's trying to go into heavy Thor play, but there is not that many with double this, but no, it is instead going to be mass Marine and tank. A rather typical strategy. I should have seen the additional reactors down here. So a Marine tank now making their way out, as the production power droning up 11 drones, sitting on 64 drones versus 45. The Roaches are now going to try to fight back against the rest of those Hellions. Those Roaches do move rather quickly on creep. The Hellions do take a little bit of time, and the Roaches, oh, we're trying to sneak by, and unable to do so because of the hatchery down over here. Roaches still wandering around. We are upgrading to tier 2, so those Roaches will have a movement speed almost equal to a Hellion once that Glio reconstitution is up and completed. 4.25 versus 3.9. I guess 10% movement speed bonus, or 7% if you, or 8% if you really want to get to the nitty gritty. Hellions looking to just try to contain their opponents so far, as we are now moving into Marine tank, and Thors are actually being added to the group. So we are going to have a lot of Thors. Thors are generally very strong, and I'm curious as to why. Yeah, it looked like the weapons upgrade was being researched at first, but I would normally suggest armor research to be upgraded first with Thors. Thors deal so much damage already that you end up with overflow splash damage quite often, and you just want Marines there to try to finish off those lower hit point units. Roaches are going to be able to take down this set of rocks rather quickly, and now a siege tank also trying to take down these sets of rocks. MMA not quite as ahead as I would like them to see. Never mind, he does have that third command center already built, already upgrading to an orbital command there, so he should be able to easily take this expansion in just a moment, especially as he does have a couple Thors out. The Thors ready to intercept any Mutalisks, but you can see that no Mutalisks are coming. Level 1 weapons upgrade and level both for the weapons and the mech currently being researched, as the Roaches are still trying to move around. Those Roaches are pretty much confined to only half of the field right now, as there's not enough creep tumors in order for him to in order for the Roaches to get everywhere they want to be. Army-wise, 2,600 versus 2,175. Both sides, very, very large army. Lucira running off of 3 bases and 4 hatcheries at this stage. Going to be 5 hatcheries in just a moment, as the Spire Tech finally being built. 6 more drones being added, and MMA and Lucira both playing a game of Sim StarCraft right now, building the strongest army they possibly can. The Overseer now going to perhaps trying to do a suicide run into the base already to see what exactly is going on. You can see the level 1 weapons upgrade, and there you can see, oh, the Overseer may just try to do contamination runs, as MMA now establishes this gold mineral patch here. The Hellions now looking to try to push back the rest of these creep tumors as the roaches now trying to catch up, unable to do so. Those roaches are moving rather quickly, but now the movement speed has been completed, and now trying to go after another run of those Hellions. Hellions able to back off there rather easily. In comes the Overseer. The Overseer does have a fairly slow movement speed, and it is just simply flying around and now getting a corruption down, adding an additional 30 seconds of build time onto this factory. That siege tank going to be stuck in limbo, just 1 or 2 seconds away from being completed. Drones are still being trained up even further. Production-wise, we are now running off of, I believe, 5 hatcheries at this stage, as the roaches are now finally making a move. The siege tanks are ready and in position. A lot of bunkers, so they should be able to hold off this attack rather well. And Lucira still doesn't have anything to really break this Terran siege line. MMA just playing very, very conservatively right now, just sitting off of his current 3 bases, and the Zerglings and roaches now trying to make their way out, but a Zergling barbecue absolutely getting torn apart there, as the Banelings are now just trying to find out what targets they can actually damage towards. Banelings coming in from the north as well, as the Thors are now getting all destroyed, and MMA now in full retreat. Roaches are continuing to try to push in. Their siege tanks in the very back, melting away the rest of those roaches. And those siege tanks just absolutely destroying all of Lucira's units. More Banelings were going to be trying to come in from the far side there. And a lot of workers were killed in that engagement. You can see SCVs still wandering around and 15 workers killed. Taking a look at the Harvester count, 94 versus 65. Harvester, you can see how much of a difference it is, as Lucira should definitely be able to just keep up the pressure. If he's able to at least contain MMA, he should be able to get in a lot of damage. The Hellions now looking for a new fresh target. There is a couple drones down here. Well, there were a couple drones, as those Hellions are going to be able to take down a few of those. The Hellions now trying to run away, but they are just going to get caught on the wrong side of these Zerglings there. The Zerglings able to swarm and finish them off. Taking a look at the losses, the Zerg did lose a little bit more, but he also has a stronger economy going into the mid game now. No, Terran actually with the stronger economy, calling in a lot of mules. So 6 mules on these 6 mineral patches. I believe that actually equates to 2,000 minerals a minute, if my estimations are correct, as we are now going to have marine drop. So yes, a marine drop now making its way out. It looks like the marines are now trying to clean up the rest of the overlords that are going to be able to spot, and now you can see another group there, another marine now trying to make its way down. A siege tank getting in some free kills just because of the site, and another overlord may have spotted that one medevac as well. So the drop now coming into play. Zerglings now trying to swarm in, going to be able to finish that off, as the siege tanks battling it back. Banelings now trying to roll in, able to do so, finding their targets very, very easily. But the siege tanks line is just so deep that the Marines are still now finding cover behind even further siege tanks. And now in comes a drop over here at the gold. So the gold now getting dropped and now going to get cleaned up. The Queen unable to really do anything at all, as another drop now coming in as well. So MMA sniped down an overlord, and now perhaps going to do a drop over here as well. So dropping in the gold mineral and the main base at the same time. The roaches are in full retreat, and it looks like the gold mineral patch has been taken down. Drop over here. Mutile is trying to re-engage, and now in comes another drop over here. So MMA dropping in multiple locations with 2-1 Marines, and now going for another drop, but it looks like the medevac may get taken down. Oh, a beautiful micro play there, trying to make sure that the glaive worm splash damage didn't actually snipe it down. And now in come the Marines. The Marines now trying to finish this off, and now in comes a large swarm of Marines and tanks. Losses-wise, definitely much higher for IMLosira so far, as the Marines are now continuing to push. Production-wise, more units still being trained. The spawning pool, key tech buildings were taken down, so no more Zerglings, and with no more Zerglings, that pretty means no new Banelings anytime soon. The drones now trying to get transition. There are a couple Banelings, but I believe these Marines are going to be able to finish it off. The siege tanks still providing cover, as now just scanner sweeps are clearing out the rest of these creep tumors. And taking a look at the harvester count now, 68 versus 56. Somehow long distance mining enough to keep MMA in this, as he did have a large army advantage. And that army advantage is quickly dwindling though, but it looks like another drop going to be coming online in just a second. Another medevac now making its way over, as perhaps the Marines are now trying to come over here. The Mutilist going after the command center. Command center almost completed, down to 7 seconds more, as the Mutilists are now going to perhaps be able to snipe down a medevac, but no, the Mutilist getting caught in the wrong position once more. Still Marine over here, not really doing much, but another medevac drop coming into play, perhaps going to try to drop where there's actually drones. And no, gonna actually do a little bit of a chain drop in multiple locations, and not quite sure. That was actually a little bit of a misclick by MMA. Now needs to perhaps re-pick up the rest of his units there. Marines were trying to finish off this hatchery. Are the medevacs going to be able to get picked up? Yeah, doing another pickup there. Another pickup here. No go. As the Marines are still currently sitting, I believe, 2-1. Will be 2-2 now, getting up into the 3-2 range, and another Overlord shot down. MMA now sitting on a very weaker economy, not nearly as many harvesters, but it doesn't matter as MMA has more bases to mine from and more mineral patches, and he does have a larger army at this stage. Siege tanks are continuing to roll out 2-0 upgrades on them. Mutalisks are in the air. The siege tanks are perhaps going to siege up over here, going to siege up a little bit late, but Lucira being very smart to back off from that engagement, doesn't want to try to engage there, as the Marines are just going to be playing a very, very dangerous game and trying to dance and take down this one particular hatchery. Hatchery already down to 500 hit points. That will fall without any real issue at all. The drones now trying to run away. Broodlings coming over, as well as the roaches able to clean up a couple of those units there. The siege tanks need to continue to make their way forward. You can see the mobility of the Zerg army on that creep. Lucira trying to perhaps go for a flank. New medevacs, new siege tanks being added. And this game is now starting to go so well for MMA. You can see the Marines now coming in over here. And MMA now lifting up his command center, knowing that the Zerglings were coming over. And now in comes the push over here, catching those siege tanks out of siege mode. The Mutalisks are now trying to finish off the rest of the siege tanks. Many of them were destroyed, but the the roaches unable to escape there, as Lucira continuing to put in a lot of pressure and somehow stay in this. MMA now looking perhaps to do another drop. It does look like he has enough medevacs to do two full drops in two separate locations, and perhaps put a little bit more pressure. Another medevac, however, venturing a little bit too far there and taking more damage. Lucira definitely needs those infestors. Infestors very, very powerful. As another, is that another medevac? Yeah, another medevac. These medevacs are so hard to keep track of. As a drop now into the main base, perhaps going after some key tech. The Spire is right there, ripe for the picking. In come the Zerglings and the Mutalisks trying to pick them off, but in comes the main push over here. So the Marines now going to try to snipe down this hatchery, get some damage there. The Banelings are trying to get closer, but unable to do so, as another medevac going to be pushing into this location here and getting another drop on the high ground, and it doesn't look good, as Lucira is going to be forced to pull back his units once again. Marines now trying to push their way in. Banelings looking to find their target. The Marines jumping into the medevacs, and the medevacs doing a very hot pickup, but a new group of Marines just cleaning up all of these drones over here. They need to continue to push their way forward, as the Zerglings now trying to finally swarm their way in. Some Mutalisks now coming over. More Zerglings being queued up. The medevac trying to stay alive, trying to keep up the rest of these Marines. The Mutalisks are going to just simply fall down there, and now it's going to be drones versus Marines. Not a fair fight at all. Marines now continuing to push their way forward once again. No planetary fortress there, as the Marines now trying to fight back against the rest of those Zerglings. Zerglings now trying to make a run into the back of the base here. Not going to be successful, as the Marines now pushing in here. So this mass Marine army by MMA just really pushing forward and dealing the damage, and I am sure that Lucira, who's is now sitting at only 20 food behind, will be forced to say GG in just a moment. Drones now making their way over, trying to add a little bit more DPS, but unable to do so, and IMLosira says GG. So now, after Lucira took game 1 on Tall Dream Altar with an amazing Zergling run by, or rather an MMA front door of seal fail, MMA has now taken the next 3 games to be up 3-1 in this best of 7 series. Stay tuned for game 5.